So in the last class we have seen how to display multiple records, how to retrieve records. It may be standard or custom object. Okay. Now today we'll go for that's in how to create an object tab, displaying the records from custom object. So retrieving the records from custom object that all you. Now we'll see how to communicate between VF to Salesforce. That is VF to Salesforce to save the record, it's to insert the record and to retrieve the records. We have seen the last two classes. We have seen how to insert. We have seen some input field like that, save button, and to retrieve the records we have taken page block table to retrieve the records. It's using standard or custom control. That's an using standard controller for any. It can be any object, standard or custom object. Is it? Now we'll see how to communicate between VisualForce to Salesforce and Apex. Why we require. Now while connecting to Salesforce account object, I want to filter a list of records to where city equals Hyderabad and I have to use Apex programming for this. So while retrieving from Salesforce, Apex what will do, it filters the records and displays to the VF. Earlier we have seen VF to Salesforce. So going for VF, Apex and Salesforce. Earlier we have seen VF to Salesforce directly. So now we'll go for VF to Salesforce, but I need to filter the records. In the first we cannot write criteria, so we cannot write criteria. Directly connect to account table, display the records. In the page block table you have seen just page block table, display the list of records. It connects to EMP object, display. But where is the filtration? Where I can write the criteria? That criteria we should write where? In our Apex program. That's in a business logic where you write it. This is in a presentation logic, business logic, and this is a database logic. Using this way, we can filter the records where city called Hyderabad can display multiple objects records. From Salesforce, I will display multiple objects. Account table, lead table. Last time we have seen only on selection of particular object, that object records will have displaying. But now I need to display multiple object records. Multiple object mean it can be lead, account, lead, EMP. At the time I want to display all the records. That operation can be done through Apex only. Okay. How to communicate between Apex, VF to Apex. Salesforce developed in two, VF and Apex. And VF is what? HTML based and follows our MVC design pattern. The VisualForce is in a view level. How I need to present the data, how to take some input, how to take input, how to display the data, it's called a VisualForce. And our Apex is a controller. Business logic you write in controller, Salesforce and model. It's now to present, how to process, how to store. And there's a concept like property. We call it a property, public string a name like this. Before that, small, we need to discuss about Apex. To go to Apex, first we'll see small example. Okay. Now enter some value in VF page. I need to display that page. Point here is enter some name and enter name I need to display. Okay, how to write it? Program. Go to developer console. Open in separate tab. So file, new VF page. VF Apex. So I need to display, I entered some data and I need to display that data. Enter name and display name, entered value. So entered some name and I need to display. A small VF page you are writing, a VF page, entered some name, I need to display that name. So does I require any database connect to any standard control like this? When you want to connect to any table, then you require standard controller. Otherwise not necessary. Standard controller when you want to connect particular object, retrieve records from that, then require standard. Now I am not connecting to anyone. Just enter some name, display that name. Okay. So write apex colon page block. When you take some input boxes and buttons like that, you require what? A form. Form. Require a form. Where when you take input boxes, you require a form. Page block. Apex colon page block section. Title. Entry section. I need to enter some value. Apex colon output text value enter name. Please enter some name. Display apex colon input text. So I'm creating a page where entering some output text like this. Output text, input text. And it displays some your entered values. Apex colon output text value enter name equal to now preview. So please enter name Raja given. Now enter. I need to display that value. You're given output text. That's an output text, and there's an input text. Again output text enter name. So I need to display that value. It's an output text and this is an input text. And this again output text. I need to display that value, whatever value you entered. That means you entered some value. That value I need to display. How to display that value? So when you are entering value, that value has to store in a particular variable. Is it? When you enter some value, it's stored in a variable. I can call that variable, I can display it. When you are giving some value, that value has to store somewhere. Where I need to store? In my VF page, we don't have any variables here. We don't have any variables here to declare. We don't have variables to declare. You require a program where I declare variables. We require a program where I can store the variables. So you declare a program name. For that you go for controller. Like standard controller refers to objects. Standard controller refers to tables. Controller refers to Apex program. Controller refers to Apex program. Give some name AP1. The program name AP1. Save it. It's giving error. Apex class AP1 does not exist. I'm creating some Apex class. So Apex class does not. So file new Apex class. So controller refers to what? Apex class. A new Apex class AP1. It's an AP1. I'm creating a new Apex class. So when you go for file, a new Apex class, AP class 1 is created. Now I need to declare. So now save that Apex class. And then save this VF page. It's a please enter name. Now click preview. You enter some name. Anand. Enter. We're not getting anything. Why? We have not created any variable. We have not created any variable. Just we created only a class. We created a class that is referring through controller. But your input text, whatever input text again, that value has to store in a variable. Value equal to some variable name, a name I given. Variable name is a name. The value entered in input box, you are storing in a variable what? A name. That a name I have to declare in my Apex class. That variable has to declare in Apex class like public. What type of variable? String. A name. Declare a. A name is a variable. A name is a variable. Declare where it's a string type. You are entering value. While entering the value, which type it is? String type. Well, the entering value is a string type. So it can be alphabets, numerics, anything it can. And it's declared as a public. You are accessing outside the class from VisualForce you are accessing. So you declare as a public. So you have public, private like that. If you are not declared, it's a private means within the class only can access. That variable can be accessed within the program only. When you declare private. So now I made a public so I can access from anywhere. So public string a name. Now save it. Again come to VF page. Now save it. So it's saying it giving error unknown property. Unknown property. That means when you declare in the input box a name, when declare variable as a name, that a name has to declare with a property. This a name is now it is called as a variable. Public string a name you declare as a variable. But when you declare as public string a name with set and get is an property. Is a property where it has set and get is that. The set represents the value entered in the VF, the value entered in the VF. That value is passed to a name variable in Apex. The set, the internal functionality of set, when you declare set semicolon get means the set communicates from VF to Apex. Next, get communicates from Apex to VF. So when you entered any value in the input box, when you entered value in the input box, the setter takes that value. The setter takes the value, assigns to which variable? A name variable. While I am displaying the value, when I display in my entered name equal to, so you can write as a property a name. When you declare the property in output text, in the output text when you declare a name, then it calls getter. Getter it communicates from Apex to VF. From Apex, what is the a name values, then that will passes to the VF page. So here, so when you declare public string a name, it is a variable. But when you declare a name, this a name, whatever variable you have given now, this one, this has to declare instead of variable, you have to declare as a property. Declare as a property. A property contains a variable name with string, a string type or anything. Declare as a set and get. The internal meaning of set functionality is When you declare set means, that means you are calling from input. In the input text a name, input text a name means it calls setter. It calls set a name. It calls set a name. The set a name, what it takes means it takes the value from VF and assigns to A. That is set communicates from VF to Apex. Assigns a value from where? Takes value from VF and assigns to Apex. When you go for get, so in my output text I given a name. When in output text I given a name, that internally it calls get a name. It calls get a name. That's called getter. So communicates from Apex to VF. So here getter it calls in the output text. It retrieves value from Apex to VF. Now save it. Now run the program. Go to VF, review, enter some value, Anand. When you click enter, value is displaying here. Your entered value, Raju, you are given. Enter. It stores the value where? When you enter the Raju value in the input box, the a name property, what happened? In the input text, it calls which one? Set a name. It calls set a name. The setter a name, what is taking? The functional to set a name means internally. The internal meaning of set a name means it takes the value from VF and assigns to Apex variable. In the output text, a name. In the output text a name means, it calls getter. Get a name. Communicates from Apex to VF. That means it retrieves value from Apex to VF. Getting that? This is called a variable and this is called a property. Property contains what? Set and get. A set is from VF to Apex and get is Apex to VF. This is very important. This is very important point. VF to Apex to communicate we use set and get. If you know this point, development is easy. You can understand 80% development point. 80% of our development part discuss this point only. If you know this setter and getter, it's enough. You can learn any program very easily. The difficult point is here only. If you understand this concept, it's very easy to how you need to communicate. How you communicate between VF to Apex is through setter and getter with a property. The internal meaning of set is what? It's taking a value from where? VF and S. So this can be written in this way also. To write this. The internal meaning of this is public string a name variable, public set. A set is nothing but it is not returning any value. Get, that is set S name, string S, assigning a name equal to S. So public string a name is a variable. Whatever value you given Anand, that value passes to S and S assigns a value to a name variable. That is setter. The internal meaning of set here I declared now. The internal meaning of set is taking the value from VF, assigning to a name. Same, returning the value. Public, return the value. Which type? String type. Get a name. What is I am returning? Return a name. See, you write it. Save it. The internal meaning of this single line public string a name means a property with set and get. A set internal meaning is taking the value from VF, assigns to a name. Get a name means returning the value. Now run the program. And enter the value. Getting? So input text. In the input text, what I have taken, it calls what? Setter. In the input text, it calls a setter. In the output text you are given a name, it calls what? Getter. Clear? So this can be written in the program where public string a name. That public string a name. This is a variable, but when you write public string a name which is an as in a property, this can be written in this way, or you can write single line in a program. Enter value in VF and display it. For that, you return enter name. It's a name. And then corresponding property are written. The public string name is a variable. Enter some value and displays. So what is happening here? You require some controller. When you write any output text, so how written this program? See, I'm closing this file, new VF page, VF epicom. Enter value, enter name and display. And display the value. When you're taking input box like that, you require form. Page block. Title, entry. I need to take some output text where I need to enter the value. So apex colon, output text, value, enter name. I need to enter some, that's a display, enter name. I need to take some input, apex colon, input text, apex colon, output text, value, enter name equal to. Run the program. You don't find any errors. When you run the program, you are taking output text, input text. Run. Enter some name. Oh, no. It's not displaying the value. Enter value is not displaying. So for that, what require? I need to store a variable. I need to store in a variable in a where? Property. So when you write value equal to, it's a property, a name. It's giving an error. See, when you click save, unknown property a name. Input text value equal to a name means it's giving unknown property. A property contains what? Setter and getter. We have to declare that properties in a class. Properties has to be declared in a class. Property is defined in the class. So how to assign a how to declare a class means go for controller. Standard controller refers to objects. Controller refers to Apex class. Controller APCom. Controller refers to Apex class. Now save it. Go to file, new Apex class. File, new Apex class. Its name APCom. Save. It's an Apex class. Save it. Go to VF page. Save it. Now a name is a variable that has to be defined. You are defined inside just to declare a control APCom. This AAP come as to declare as a class, okay. And this a class we declare what value equal to a name as a property. So record as a public. To access the value from VF and Apex, so you declare as a public. By default it is a private. When you declare public, can access from anywhere. What type of value it is? A string type. Variable name, a name. I require a setter and getter type to communicate. Set and get. That's all. Set semicolon, get semicolon. The set takes the value from VF to Apex. Get is returning value from Apex to VF. Done. Save the program. Save Apex. First save Apex, then go to VF page. Now run the program. So already Windows output is there. Enter some name. Enter. Now I want to display that value now. So to display the value, where I declare in the output text. In the output text, declare the property. Here in the input text, when you say a name, it's calling what? Setter. In the input text, it calls setter. In the output text, when you declare a name, it's calling getter. Retrieving the value from Apex to VF. Here it's calling setter, takes the value from VF to Apex. It's calling getter, retrieving value from Apex to VF. Now save it. Run the program. And displaying the value. Clear? That's a way to write the programs. So a page controller, page block section, write it. And here enter name. He entered some name and input text a name as a property. And here you declare as a public string a name in a single line, or you can write setter a name, getter a name. Public string a name, set a name, get a name. Apex page controller APCOM. The controller refers to any single Apex program. The controller refers to any single Apex program. It refers to only one Apex program. The standard controller refers to any single object. It refers to any single object. It refers to only Apex program. I can write only one Apex class. Apex colon input text value equal to a name you are written. It refers to set a name. It refers to set a name. It referring to property which is defined in Apex program. So when you write set a name, a set a name method is referring to property which is defined in Apex. Same here, when you write output text enter a name. When you write in output text a name means it's calling getter. When you write input text a name, it referring to what? Setter. In the input text it referring to setter. When you write in output text it referring to getter. The property contains what? It's containing what? A variable. It's in a variable with a setter and it's in a getter, and the value which type? A string type. It's in a value as string type. We have declare scope. We declare as in a scope. The scope here, what is the scope here? Public. Can access from anywhere. A value, a string type. A name is a variable. Set is nothing but setter. Getter is getter. Setter is used to communicate from VF to Apex. Setter VF to Apex. It takes a value from VF and assigns to variable in Apex. Getter is used to communicate from Apex to VF. It takes value from Apex to VF. Okay. And set and get is a two-way communication. If you want to communicate between VF to Apex like that, we require setter and getter. Whatever value entered stores a variable, and I want to retrieve that value means you go for getter. That's very important. Set and get is very important. It communicates between two values. Will come the scope. We have public, private, protected is that. This you are declared as a public, by default is a private. We have protected also. So set and get is a two-way communication. Next. So we can define this variable as string a name, set a name, get a name methods. I want to write a small program. Enter some username, enter password. When I click submit button, I need to display valid or invalid user. When I click clear all, I need to clear the values. A VF and Apex program. You entered some two values. While entering the values, I should store some variables. I need to store that variables. So you require two properties. These are two input boxes. For these two input boxes, you require two variables, two properties. Output text does not require. Output text is only displaying. While entering the value, the entering value should store in a variable. It's nothing but like property. And require some buttons here. When I click a button, it calls some method in a method. It requires a method in a class. So we declare a method and we require the action. When you click the button, what has to be processed. And I require some message, valid or invalid user, like message I want to display. So here also you require some message property. You require two properties and one more property to display the message. Clear? So whenever you want to design a page, we need to analyze how many properties required. How many properties required that you should analyze. These are two output boxes and these two input boxes. This input box, while entering the value, two properties, enter the values to store in a variable through setter, getter to process the value. While displaying the message, invalid or valid user, so for that also require some a property for string message. I require some buttons. First design the program. So total requires how many properties? Require three properties. One is user ID password for inputs and result. This result is no, for the result I am displaying for string type property. When I click the button, I'll call some method where I need to process, I need to logic, I need to write the logic, whatever inputs I have done, that has to be processed. You require some method M1. And when you click the clear all button, I require M2 method. Okay, that's all we require. Now, file, new VF page. VF UID PWD, a program name. Validating username password. Validating entered username and password. First a form. Apex colon page block section. Entry section. And next action section. Apex colon page block section. Like this. Save. Preview. Entry section, action section. And the entry section, what require? Output text, input text here, and you require here buttons. This is an entry section, two output text, two input text, and require two buttons. Output text, value, enter name, Apex colon input text. So apex colon output text value enter password. And then apex colon input text. So two output text, input text, and require some buttons. The buttons you require one more section. Apex colon command button. Submit. Apex colon command button. And clear all. So you have two sections, entry section and action section. Entry. If you don't want this sidebar, then use sidebar false. Enter name Raju Cloud and submit. Nothing. We are not doing any process. Just we design the page. Process means this value should store in a variables. Whatever input text you have taken, that value should store in a properties. When you click the button, I need to go do some process. Whatever value entered is if condition you have to write it. So now we are written only a page. You are taking some input. That's all. I need to process. To process means your input text value is to store in a property. Value equal to, you write here UID. Anywhere, any variable in UID. Next, input text value equal to password. So now it's saying unknown property UID in VF UID password program. So what I have declared? Value UID means what you have to do? You have to declare the property. Declare that property where? Declare this UID and password where you have to declare in a program. Where you have to write program? Right? Controller. You have to declare the properties like last time we written a name variable. No? Now I need to declare UID PWT in my Apex program. Go to controller, write AP UID PWT, something name, program name, anything. Say. Now it gives error what? Apex class does not exist. Apex class does not exist. File, new Apex class. AP UID PWT, the program name, Apex program. So how many properties? Two properties. Public string UID with set and get. Public string PWT with set and get. Two properties declared. Now save it. VF UID saved. Set UID and PWT. So two properties has been declared. The next, when you run the program, the entered value cloud. What has to be done? You entered the values, but you have to write some logic, no? I need to process. So when I click the button, so when I click the button, action. When I click the button, I require some action. Call some action, declare some method. Like method name M1 method. So where you write the business logic, M1 method. So once save it, it's giving error, M1 method not declared. Now in my class, we declare variables like them properties. Now I need to declare what? M1 method. So here declare public void M1 and save it. Then, so we declare how many properties? Two properties for UID and one more property PWD and one more property for message apex colon output text value status equal to some property what STA. Two properties. So three properties UID, PWD, STA. STA is for what? Message for displaying valid or invalid user. This invalid user or valid user, like that I want to display message. For that we display one more message public string STA with set and date. So now we require three properties for input value, for password value and status value. Now when declare all these properties and when you click the button, it calling some action M1 method. The M1 method I need to write the logic. The M1 method you write the logic. What logic? You entered value if UID double equal to if statement. For comparison you write double equal. If UID equal to Anand and PWD equal to cloud. Single quotation. You write in single comparing two values. Your entered values is in UID. Comparing with UID and password. Both are equal. Then write STA equal to valid user. Else STA equal to invalid user. That's the program. That expecting right parents found and UID equal to and you write here UID double equal to for comparison, double equal to for comparison, and here and you can write on the here you write under part and semicolon. So you are entering. So when you are entering the value, when you click the button, it calls M1 method. The M1 method you write UID equal to Anand and PW equal to cloud. Both are equal. Assign valid user to STA. The valid user STA means it displays status equal to STA. Valid user. If it's wrong, invalid user it displays the value. I'm not connecting with the database. We'll check the next program how to connect whether it's a valid user or not from the database. You are now communicating with VF to Apex. From VF you are entering the value. You are processing in where? Apex. There's a communication between VF to Apex. Now run the program. Entered value Raju cloud submit. Displays invalid user. How to display the colors, how to display that we'll see. We'll compare how to display the colors. We entered some another value, Anand value, submit. Valid user display. You are designing the form, entering the value. When you click the button, display valid or invalid user. When you click clear all, and it clear these values. When you click clear all, and it clear the values. So for that we require what? Action M2. Write any method name M2. Method name M1, say unknown method M2. So go to Apex class, declare method public void M2. So I need to clear the values. Which values? UID equal to single quotation and PWD equal to single quotation. Same. So UID single quotation, PW, VF UID password. Enter. On cloud. Submit. It displays the message. When I clear all, it cleared the value. Clear all means I am assigning a value to whom? To UID. When I assign some UID, it affects in the VF part also. This UID is there, no? This internally communicate with our VF page. This UID with set and get is there. Set is to communicate from VF to Apex. Get is returning the value. Whatever I do changes in this variables, it affects in my VF. That's a functionality with set and get. That's a two-way communication. It's a two-way. Whatever I assign any value, if I assign space, the same space it affects in the VF. I'm assigning a value some valid or invalid user, it affects in my STM. Okay. Apex. A class contains what? A data members and methods. These are all data members and it contains methods. A class contains variables are called as a data members. And a methods contains methods. What it contains in a class, we contains what? Data members. It contains methods. Methods contains what? Statements which are processing your data. A method, a class contains a method which are used to process the data members. What are data members you are going to know? UID, PW, this are all this. So displaying the result. Whether the invalid or valid results displaying. Valid or invalid result displaying this. To clear the values, declare the method M2 method and displaying the result. How you declare the result? Method. Result, it clears the value. On selection of clear button, it clears the values. Clear? What is validate? Enter username, one property, and enter password, one property. Result section, M1, M2 method. The result equal to RS, they are taken as in a variable. UID, PW as in a properties. Result is also one property. And in our program, we have declared three properties and two methods, M1, M2 methods. UWD, PWD are what? RS are properties. They are properties. And M1, M2 methods are methods in my class. Like that you are how to communicate between VF to Apex, validating username and password. We are not communicating whether that user ID password is in our database or not. Whether it's existing in database, I am not validating here. I'm just validating at Apex. I'm not validating at Apex. That's Apex to Salesforce. Okay. To write the program, first we should analyze how I require the page. To require any page, go to File, a new VF page, VF to Apex. So what's the program? Validating username and password with Apex. The next class will say how to validate with Salesforce. We'll create some employee table. In the employee table, we entered some UID password. Yesterday we created no employee table, custom table. With that, we need to validate. That is separate. So, if you know that you are writing the properties has to declare where? In a program. Which program? Controller. To write controller AP. And sidebar false. Next. Require what? Form. Apex colon form. Then I require page block. I require page block section. The page block section, it's an entry section. Title, entry section. Entry section, what? Output text, input text, like that you require. Apex colon output text, value, enter, user ID. Apex colon input text. Okay. For input text, what require? Property. So value equal to close bracket exclamation UID. UID is a property. Next. Okay, that. Enter password and declare some property here, PWD. So this section is done. UID, PWD is done. Now go for page block section. Apex colon page block section. Title, action section. I require what? Buttons. Apex colon command button, value equal to submit. And button require what? Method. So require action. Method M1. You can write any method name. You write method name, you'll think that is this method name you have to use same method name. For that you write M1, M2, like that I write it. Require one more button, value equal to clear all. I require M2 method. A result, apex colon, what require? Output text, value, result equal to some private bracket res, result. So how many properties has to declare? 3 properties, UID, PWD, res for the results, and 2 methods. It's a class apcom_u. So go to file menu, new apex class, apcom_u. The class declare what? Properties like public string UID with set semicolon get semicolon UID PWD and this is res. Okay. Save. Then I require save that VF. Again what? UID. Save that first. Save the Apex class. Save the VF page. First save the Apex UID password. Save the VF. Now it's giving error what? M1 method and M2 method has to declare. Unknown method M1 M2. Go to methods. Method is not returning any value. If method is not returning any value, declare as a void. Returning value, declare the data type. M1 method. I am not passing any parameters, so no parameters. Declare M1 method. If UID to compare require double equal to with a value string value single quotation and PW double equal to cloud res equal to valid user valid user else res equal to invalid user. Clear? Save. valid or invalid user. Now declare the method M2 method. So this double equal to and string value should specify in single quotation, and if both are equal, then only assign valid user to RES, else invalid user. See, then again save in Apex the VF page. Then it calls M2 method. Then it's calling M2 method. So M2 method declare public void M2 method. So UID equal to space and PW equal to space. Let's save that program. Now run it. Once save that VF, save it, and run the program. Enter some value, none, cloud, and result. It displaying result, valid. Or if I give Anand 1, 2, 3, invalid. Clear all. It clears the value. Clear? So now we need to discuss scene. So how to communicate between VF to Apex. So yesterday class we have seen VF to Salesforce. Just retrieve the records. Today we have seen how to communicate VF to Salesforce using Apex. Why we use Apex here? Process the data. Your entered data you are processing. You are taking the data and you are processing the data. And you are comparing and whatever you want you can do that. For that you write in Apex. VF is in a visual view part and Apex is a controller part, and our Salesforce is a model part. The next class will say how to communicate with Apex to Salesforce next. So here you require a property. A property contains a variable with setter and getter. A setter is to communicate VF to Apex and this Apex to VF for getter. Now enter some value. I want to display that value. So that takes some output text, input text, and this your entered value should store in a name. Some property you have taken a name. So a name is a single property. So declare that single variable, if you write variable stores, but a property contains with set and get to communicate between VF to Apex. So VF to Apex, Apex to VF, like that. To communicate we have taken property, one property have taken set. A controller name specify. So controller refers to Apex program. Only one program I can write. I can write one more program. And here when you write input text a name means it refers to setter, and when you write output text a name means it calls get a name. It's getter a name, it's a set a name. That's it. Setter is VF to Apex, getter is Apex to VF. Now write a small program, enter some username, enter the password, and submit clear all. I should display the message. So analyze that, how my page should look. How many output text, how many input boxes, how many buttons. So for properties, there are two properties. Okay. One more property for displaying the message, valid or invalid error. So three properties required, two methods has to be required. So declare first, design the page, design a page like that, VF page, Apex page, enter name, enter password, valid or invalid user, displaying this. So declare this username, password as per that. So to clear the values, we declare one more M2 method, it clears the values. This way you have done the program. Valid or invalid. So in the next class in the Monday we'll discuss how to communicate between VF to Apex. So this Saturday, Sunday, you just go through the yesterday program. I've done custom object displaying the records. So retrieving the records through page block table. In today's program also I'll upload. Just go through the notes. Once you are clear with the basics only, then you can understand the development very easily. Without writing the programs on your own, don't continue the class. Please don't cut. Otherwise, mixed. And you decide that development is difficult. And at the same time, you will inform to others also. Program is difficult. First practice. If you are not able, one more you practice. Then you decide and tell to others. Program is difficult. Program is very easy. If you want to be in IT industry, if you want to be as a software engineer, require programming. Without programming knowledge, you cannot survive in IT industry. I'm saying that. Any manager also should require technical knowledge, basic knowledge. What is if, what is a variable, how you communicate. That knowledge you require. How will give otherwise 50, 1 lakh rupees salary? Without that knowledge also, basic knowledge. Easy job is a software engineer job. You don't need to think. All the client will specify and you do the process. That's all. Tools are there, editors are there, everything is displaying. Editors are giving. We are not entering any values. When you click space, you get the list of properties. Apex, what are the methods are there? What are the properties are there? Command button, what are the properties? Earlier it was very difficult to remember. Now editors are there, it gives everything. Properties name, method names, what parameters, all you have to pass. Clear? Just go through these classes. Any doubts? No, for that only I given M1. See, I'm not given method, submit button M. I given name as M1. Why I given M1? You can give any name. If I give method for submit, method for clear means you'll think that method name itself you have to declare like that. Custom name can be anything. Business logic, all you have to write in a method. The logic you have to write in a method. A class contains what? Data members and the methods. Class contains a data. What data you have to store? What data is to process? Data processing is done where? In the method. Data processing is declared in a method. Variable declaration. Variables all declare. So a class contains data members and methods. Okay. So please practice on your own. Until you get your own analysis, listen carefully. That's a recording class. Any doubts? Any doubts? How to create an object app. How to align it. We'll see that. Without the UI part, how to align the buttons, all that will see. In the records from customer to the document. How? Any doubts? I'll reconnect here.